Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted by a federal grand jury on Thursday on 2 felony counts, one for making false statements to Congress, and another for obstruction of a congressional proceeding. The indictment, returned in the Eastern District of Virginia, centers on Comey's testimony from September 2020 during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. Prosecutors allege that Comey lied when he stated that he had not authorized an FBI official to serve as an anonymous source for a news report. The charges come as the 5-year statute of limitations for the alleged crimes was set to expire, and just days after a newly appointed U.S. attorney, a former personal attorney for President Donald Trump, took over the case from a prosecutor who had reportedly deemed the evidence insufficient for an indictment. Mr. Comey has maintained his innocence and stated he welcomes a trial. Analysis, reasons, and consequences. The indictment of a former FBI director is an unprecedented event in modern American politics and law. It is a development with significant legal and political implications that extend far beyond the specific charges against Comey. Reasons for the indictment. The legal basis for the charges rests on Comey's 2020 congressional testimony. The core of the prosecution's case is the claim that Comey's statement about not authorizing an FBI official to be an anonymous source was a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement. The indictment reportedly connects this to previous testimony and a 2018 Inspector General report, which found that Comey's deputy, Andrew McCabe, lacked candor when he told Comey he had not authorized it. However, the political backdrop is arguably as significant as the legal one. For years, President Trump has publicly demanded that Comey and other former officials be prosecuted, framing them as key players in a hoax or witch hunt related to the Russia investigation. The timing of the indictment, coming immediately after the resignation of one U.S. attorney and the appointment of a new one with no prior prosecutorial experience, has led to widespread accusations that the Department of Justice is being weaponized for political purposes. The fact that the indictment was reportedly rejected by a career prosecutor before the new appointee took over and fast-tracked the case further fuels this perception. Consequences of the indictment. The immediate consequences are a high-stakes criminal trial. If convicted, Comey faces up to 5 years in prison, but legal experts have suggested that proving the charges will be difficult. The prosecution must not only show that Comey's statement was false, but also that he made it with the intent to deceive, a high bar for a jury to meet. Beyond the courtroom, the indictment threatens to further erode public trust in the Department of Justice and the legal system as a whole. Regardless of the trial's outcome, the case reinforces the narrative for some that the justice system is a tool for political retribution, not an impartial arbiter of the law. This is particularly damaging given the DOJ's foundational principle of independent prosecutorial decision-making. Predictions and potential solutions. Predictions. A contentious and high-profile trial. The case will draw immense media scrutiny and political polarization. Both sides will frame the trial as a referendum on the integrity of the justice system. The defense is likely to argue that the prosecution is politically motivated, pointing to the circumstances of the U.S. Attorney's appointment. A difficult conviction. Given the legal burden of proving intent, a conviction is not a foregone conclusion. The defense will likely argue that Comey's statements were at worst an honest mistake or the result of a misunderstanding, not a deliberate lie. The jury's decision will likely be heavily scrutinized. Further political polarization. The trial, regardless of its outcome, will not heal the political divide. The conviction will be hailed by Trump's supporters as a victory for justice, while a not guilty verdict or a hung jury will be viewed as a sign of a two-tiered justice system and a deep state protecting its own. Solutions for restoring public trust. The most effective solution to counter the perception of politicized justice is a renewed bipartisan commitment to the independence of the Department of Justice. This would involve a return to long-standing norms. Political leaders from the president down must stop publicly calling for the prosecution of political opponents. The DOJ should be allowed to operate free from any perceived or actual political pressure. Judicial and congressional oversight. The judiciary and Congress must be vigilant in their oversight roles to ensure that legal proceedings are conducted fairly and are not used for political ends. Transparency. While investigations are ongoing, the DOJ should adhere to its policies of not commenting on pending cases. The public and media can play a crucial role by demanding evidence-based facts and resisting the urge to jump to conclusions based on political rhetoric.